What's going on, Black Baseball Mixtape family? Flobo Boyce here for another edition of In the Booth, and we're trying to find fans from all across the MLB landscape to talk to them about what makes their team the best. And of course, since it's not the Mets, I got to deal with it myself. Being joined by a very special guest, you may have seen her on some of our content elsewhere on the Black Baseball Mixtape universe. Please welcome All About April 3. What's going on?
Hey everybody, how are y'all today?
This is what we call a get because last time I saw you, you was on a baseball podcast just like sharing up the knowledge. Like, how is that coming out? Becoming a thought leadership in the sports broadcasting space?
I'm actually enjoying it, and I also really appreciate the fact that my voice as a woman, especially as a Black woman, is respected in this space. And not even just respected, but also acknowledged, because I feel like I'm an anomaly where we know that, people exist and they love baseball, but we just don't really know exactly who those people are. So the fact that people are like, hold up, I know her and I love watching her content, and I want to gauge a little bit more about where the history of her knowledge and passion comes from. I really appreciate that.
Well, I gotta ask then, because like I feel like there's two major camps when it comes to Black fandom of baseball in particular, where it was like you grew up and you had family members that was like touched the game and you just grew from there, or you kind of fell into it as an individual. You were trying to find your tribe that way. What was like your path to your fandom?
So my dad actually played when he was younger, and he, kind of was stopped up being that they had me, but he always just loved baseball, and I would watch him play with my brothers in the yard. We had a pretty big yard, and so I decided that I wanted to join, and that was a way for us to bond. But like I literally grew up with a pitching machine and a batting cage in my backyard.
Oh wow,
So when we talk about baseball fans, like I really grew up in the moment of loving baseball.
sure.
My dad coached me. He really wanted me to play at USC. I quit. I was doing cheer.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Okay, let's
and
go.
so now, we talk, and I posted like on my social media site. I think we called each other like 15, 20 times this weekend because he's a huge Yankees fan.
Oh, right. I
So
remember that.
yeah, so we go back and forth, but even my brothers, they are, and I think that for me, I just grew up loving it because that was something that was ingrained in our household, and then I ended up finding my own path as well. So I feel like I had a little bit of both, where it was ingrained in me, but I didn't want to be a Yankees fan, so I ended up
No
finding
one wants to be Yankees. No, I'm kidding.
I ended up finding my own groove, and ended up loving and appreciating the Dodgers, and here I am today.
Did you play as a kid, or were you like me? You thought you could try doing softball in their 20s and got really sore after a couple times.
No, I played. So I did slow pitch and fast pitch. I was a pitcher. I also played shortstop and second base. And I remember on the last podcast, I said, like, my dad was like, you too slow for short, so we're going to move you to second.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm not very fast, but I just was, I was a little lazy at short. So he moved me over to second from time to time.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I wanted something else. And so I decided to move over into the cheerleading aspect. But I'm not going to lie, like, I do miss playing from time to time. It was just a really special moment for it. And my dad pretty much, he coached me the entire time.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. That the fact that still the familiar element of it all. And you mentioned Pop's is a Yankee fan, but you are a fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and
I
so people usually say your team is like passed down, but your story was obviously different. What made you decide to roll with LA?
So I first off, I want to say like a vain thing is like I do love the colors. I think that the Dodgers do have one of the best jerseys in Major League Baseball, and I know you're a big jersey person.
The best.
As a historian, I will also say that I have always loved Jackie Robinson. And so integration is a huge part of something that I've grown to love, especially the civil rights movement. I took that course in college, and I don't think people realize how big Jackie Robinson was as far as a civil rights movement figure. We just associate him with playing on the Brooklyn Dodgers or the Kansas City Monarchs, but no, he was that guy. And I just loved and appreciated the fact that I could watch and appreciate a team that was such a large part of history in a positive way. And so that's why I happily embrace being a Dodgers fan, because I can always go back to that moment where I can probably say, like, that is my team. And my team was a part of history, not just for winning championships, but also for helping to move our country forward.
Well, you just mentioned the when they play other teams like the Yankees. I bet is a bit of a smack talk in the group chat, the family chat.
All the time. Like, even my principal, he texted me Sunday night. He was like, "All rise." I'm like, no.
Just trolling you.
And I'm like, why am I surrounded by so many Yankee fans? That's my question. But
Right.
yeah, no, the chats, they get a little heated, and the phone calls and stuff, they're very consistent. But y'all already know I'm gonna say I'm gonna always stick beside my Dodgers. That's me.
I respect that. I feel like when the Mets are very, very good, I'm like, heck yeah, let's go Mets. And then and they're really bad, I'm like, well, somebody got to root for them. You know what I mean? Like,
But
so
they got a game in London. I saw they did get a game in London.
yeah, after giving one away the day before, so that's that's the balance of it all. But speaking of, we're talking about these big specialty games the MLB is doing. They had the Rickwood game is being planned in June, the London series early this year. The Dodgers went to Korea in a weird regular season series before the regular season even started. Thoughts about that? Thought about the expansion of the game. Do you think it's working? Do you think MLB can do more?
I actually like it. I know that a lot of people are kind of in the middle of, they don't understand or know exactly how to take it, but being, especially with the World Baseball Classic and how we're moving forward with that, I like the fact that we are expanding our growth outside of just the United States. So, but there's the Mexican series, and there's the London series. I think we're going to be where Japan next year. And it also gives fans a chance to vacation and travel to go and see their teams as well. And I think that's a huge part of it that a lot of people don't realize. You get to see your team outside of just their stadium, and a lot of times that's on an even playing field. Like, nobody is home,
Yeah.
and you get to bond with people outside of your normal element.
Gotta ask the question I ask everyone on the show though: is baseball cool? Is it back to being cool? Has it never left that cool status? Like, what do you think it is right now as far as the cultural cachet of the sport?
I think it's becoming cool again.
All right.
And part of that is, I see some of the memes and stuff on Instagram and Twitter where people are like, I'm not a baseball fan, I just like the hat.
Yeah.
And but there are people legitimately talking about certain players. So people were shocked at the whole Shohei Ohtani situation, and they're like, hold up, what's happening? And why are we paying somebody $700 million? Like, what's going on? Am I missing a part of this for my kid?
Yeah.
And I will say, amongst the people that I know, not just because we are baseball fans, but with a lot of the things that are happening within the NFL, some people are moving their kids more towards baseball than being in the NFL. And I do think that that's playing a large role in the changes that we are seeing happening.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think Major League Baseball is doing a better job of, they're not all the way there, but they are definitely doing a better job of promoting certain people. So we know, when you look at the jersey sales, you know exactly who's going to be in there. You're going to have Mookie Betts, you're going to have Shohei, you're going to have Ronnie Acuna, and a few others. But the excitement that I saw from people with Ellie De La Cruz last season all over Twitter, like people who were never watching, and I'm not saying that, like, I don't know how often someone like Kirk Herbstreit watches baseball, but he's like, I'm just so excited. Like, I just can't wait to turn my TV on to it. But even with things like the College World Series and the Women's College World Series, more people are tuning in, more people are asking questions. But I also feel like they have a reason to, because they're excited about the people on the field, the teams, and the passion surrounding it by fans like us. And I do think that like podcasts like this, they help to be able to promote it, because some people, they'll DM me like, okay, I want to get into baseball. How do I get into it? Or what team should I root for? What players are interesting? And we now are giving them an avenue to be able to see exactly what that is.
I was going to ask you a question about Shohei Ohtani, but let me put that aside real quick. You hit on something very, very important or interesting for me, because I'm getting that a bit too with baseball's growth and more series, and with the World Baseball Classic showing there are people from all over the world are playing the game. Some friends slide in the DMs and go, well, usually go, had the Mets lost again, haha. But more after that, they go, hey, look, I'm watching more games. What do you think? What should I do? And it's a role that like I didn't expect. I didn't expect to be an educator in that role, but let me ask an actual educator. Is that a role that like you relish? Does it make you feel like you have to like represent? Like, is it odd to you? Is it natural? What's your vibe when someone's like, yo, April, put me on?
I'm proud, because this is like a moment. I'm number one, I'm very passionate about baseball. I love it because I grew up in the system. But baseball, literally, I have a t-shirt that says baseball is my favorite season. I legitimately feel that way about baseball. So when someone asks me about it, I'm proud to be able to promote a product that is worthy of the joy that it brings to me. So I don't ever feel negatively about the fact that someone is asking me. I'm happy to be able to share, okay, this is the person you should be watching, or this is the team you should be watching, and this is why you should be watching, and just even the fun surrounding the ballpark atmosphere. I don't think that a lot of people realize that there's so many games that you can partake in. You get gifts at the games, whether it's a bobblehead or something, and the fans are just amazing. So being able to let people know the positive aspects of it, and be able to share the players who bring us that joy, I think is just such a positive thing.
Yeah, I'm with that. Like I'm getting used to it. I'm falling into it. I feel like a Superman, a Man of Steel. Like maybe I should be a hero. You know what I mean? In this situation. So. But the biggest story, well, the one of the big stories, because Shohei Ohtani had two, was Shohei Ohtani signing to LA. Last year, it was like last offseason was a big sweepstakes. You know, we knew it was going to stay in Anaheim. People who didn't even watch the Dodgers, some people didn't watch Dodgers, are now Dodger fans. There's a huge wave of support that's behind Shohei. I got to ask you this. You know, on paper going in, LA looked like the evil empire. It looked like it was going to be a foregone conclusion, but even with the swell of new fans, there has been some struggle from series to series. So I got to ask you, on a scale of 0 to 100, what's the frustration level like? Are you even frustrated? Is it wait and see? More baseball to be played? Dynasty in the making? How do Dodgers look like to you in 24?
I think it's a combination of those. I was not expecting us to go 162-0. I think that is. I know other people did, but
Right.
excuse me, that was not happening. But I, I think that some days I'm frustrated, because looking at how many runners we leave on base, it's just like, come on, y'all. Like, I need y'all to move these runners forward. And the top of the lineup is so top heavy. And then the bottom of the lineup is kind of like, I don't know what we're getting today. and it's frustrating. And sometimes I'm in the group chat like, what are we doing here? And I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna be a little bit controversial, but I feel like sometimes the Dodgers, they shop like me, where I'll spend money on a handbag and some shoes, like $200 shoes. I'm gonna buy some Air Max, 97 Air Max. That's my thing. I'll buy, some Jordans. I'm gonna get me a nice handbag, but I'm gonna go to American Eagle and get like the buy one, get one free on my jeans. And I feel like that's kind of what we're seeing in the purchase. Like they do sharp change. You're going to spend $700 million on, Shohei Ohtani, but in the other aspects, you're, like, I'm just going to pay this much. And we're seeing
Right.
it play out right now on the field. I think what the Dodgers are doing is we do have a lot of injuries still. Kershaw is going to be on his way back. Bobby Miller is going to be on his way back. Muncy still is out with the rib injury. And whether people realize it or not, Muncy is a huge part of our lineup. I'm never going to let people talk negatively about him because he really is a huge part of that lineup, whether he is taking the walk, whether he is being a power hitter. We need that presence. And his defense has been really good this year, especially at third base. But I really think that we are going to make a big trade. Who is it going to be? I don't know, but we do have the pieces to be able to move people around. So we'll see exactly how that goes. I was disappointed to see Outman actually be demoted and brought back down to the Triple A's, but because he's one of my favorite players, and right now he's tearing up. So, but his locker is cleaned out, so that's not typically a good sign.
Yeah.
He's gonna come back. Pajes is doing amazing. Is he gonna be part of that trade agreement? I don't know. We'll see.
It is interesting though how it feels like this year more than other years that there's like let's say less patience, but there's a lot more superstars that are being sent down or stars that are being sent down to work things out. I thought it had been 5 or 10 years ago where we would just be behind Jackson Holiday and be like, oh, he'll work it out, don't worry. They gave that guy
Right.
2 weeks and was like, yeah, you gotta go, you gotta go back, get some fundamental training. But about the Dodgers specifically, because there have been talk about the trade deadline, what they need, and the idea is that it's easier to get an outfielder than an infielder. You see where I'm going with this? The elephant in the room. Marcus Lindbet's playing shortstop. I mean, look, total athlete can do it above average, but he has committed a bunch of errors. Now, is this an experiment gone wrong, or should we just ride it out and just stay the course with him?
I've told y'all since the beginning of the season
I said,
to let this man play at second. And I think a lot of people are kind of like, maybe we should let him play at second. And it's not to take anything away from him, because is he super talented and athletic? Absolutely. But are we going to do this at the expense of the entire team? Especially when you have a really good shortstop in Miguel Rojas. He's right there. He's literally right there. And one of the issues why Miguel Rojas was not playing every day was because of his batting average percentage. But he's literally batting like 270 right now. And so when we talk about the bottom of that lineup, he's showing up. I am more than comfortable moving Miggy Rojas back to short, having Mookie at second, and then going from there. I was like, we should have picked up Tommy Pham whenever the opportunity presented itself. I don't know why that didn't happen then. I think that Teoscar Hernandez has been a great pickup for the Dodgers. We saw that in the Yankee series, but there does need to be a little bit more consistency. And unfortunately, I know Lux has not ended up the way that the Dodgers have. And I do feel like they've given him a longer string for success than I've seen a lot of clubhouses give people. And it's very unfortunate because the ACL injury really messed him up mentally and physically.
yeah.
But as a team, we have to do what's best for everyone. And sometimes that means having to move on so that the team can prosper in the way that it was meant to.
So definitely a playoff team still by your estimations, but there's room for improvement.
Yes, I mean, there's always room for improvement. We're 8 games up on the Padres right now, maybe 7, because I think they won last night. They played the A's. But, I also told y'all, I'm totally cool with us not winning the NL West if it's a sacrifice for us to be able to win bigger.
Sure.
I'm totally comfortable with that because we tend to ice out in the postseason.
Tend to. It happens a lot.
It happens. It happens. But I will say we also got like Blake Trinan back. We got God, I can't think. Evan Phillips back. And I do think that they're going to make another move for another reliever, our closer. There's been talks of bringing Kenley Jansen back. I don't know how that's going to go.
Wow.
But yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction. I'm not in panic mode yet. I think there are some people who are like totally panicking. I don't think that we're in panic mode yet. But I do think that it's in their minds that a championship is
Right.
something that needs to happen.
It's interesting for a lot of teams this year because of how weak the National League is. That you had that like a bunch of like this like life preservers are being tossed out and be like, oh man, you can ride it out because all of us are crap right now. All of us are garbage right now. So
oh my gosh, I remember when we were doing our prediction show, and I made this little snarky comment like, I'm not even worried about the AL Central. Why are they doing better than the majority of the...
They heard you. That's what they did. They're like, what? What'd she say? Let's go, Kansas City. I heard you were coming.
Yeah. I'm going to be quiet on that one because the Royals were definitely one of my picks to be great, and they are doing really, really good. Yeah. So I'm really surprised at how this is, but based on the stats from last year, we're not too far off from that. And my dad and I were talking about this, and he's like, I think a lot of people underestimate how much better pitching has gotten. Yeah. And I think that really plays a large role in what we're seeing in the game today and with the hitting and stuff.
Yeah, it is that, and the batting average too isn't as emphasized, and that just becomes like it's hard to, I don't say it's hard to predict, but like the things we're using to predict are just changing like overnight, which is so crazy. Have you seen the Dodgers on the road, and if so, what were some road stories that you experienced? We get to see them out from where you are.
I have not, but I plan on seeing them in Houston whenever they come because it's around my birthday. So they'll be here July 26th, 27th, and 28th. I think my dad is going to be coming down to go with me. But if he isn't, the Dodgers actually have a travel group. It's called Pantone 294. And they travel from city to city, and like, I don't know if you saw like them walking.
Oh, I get it. It's a color pun, isn't it? It just hit me. It's a color pun. Pantone 290. Oh. Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but yeah, they have this group, and like you can purchase tickets, you can communicate with them, and there are actually a lot of people who go by themselves and they travel with them, and that's always a concern for me being a woman traveling. But I literally just found out about this, so it's given me a little bit more confidence to be able to do that because one of my goals is also to visit all 30 ballparks.
Yeah, mine too. And it's an interesting thing because I was worried about what it is to be just a black person. I know granted women have a lot more things to worry about, but just walking through some of these cities. And I always mention the story to the fort that cheats hates it when I do it because I say it so often. But I've only been uncomfortable once in Arlington. But just going out on the road and seeing you there, people saying, oh, you're here, like baseball. It's been so much fun to see how Denver does it, how Boston does it, how Baltimore does it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I lied. I did see them in Phoenix. And when I pulled up, I was like, why are there just a lot of blue? I'm like, is this a home game? Yeah. And so the guy I was with was like, well, it's just right off of 10. They just hop on 10. A lot of them, or they fly in. It's not a long flight. But it was really like a home game. It was Dodgers everywhere. And they were loud. Yeah. So we definitely make our presence known whenever we are in there. There are a few places I want to go, though. Definitely want to go to Petco because I know we tend to, show up there. Of course, have to go to the Giants. And I want to be present for a game in Yankee Stadium with my dad and then the Phillies. Those are some of the top of my list.
Can I ask a question about the LA Dodgers San Diego Padres rivalry? Because I'm an outsider. I live here in Los Angeles. I've gone to both. I think Petco is a beautiful park. I enjoyed going to San Diego back when before they changed their colors to poop brown and pea yellow. Now it's kind of weird to go, so I don't go as often. But I feel like it's a rivalry, but also a passive rival at the same time. It's like, oh, we can't stand each other, but like, oh, rent free, little brother this, Dodger Stadium South that, but we can't beat them, we can't lose to them, but we don't care. Like, what how do you describe this rivalry? I feel like it's intense, but also not at the same time.
I think that some of this has to do with the fact that, number one, Manny Machado, he used to be a Dodger
Yeah.
and he is now a Padre, and we just don't get good energy from Manny. And some of this, he starts and we finish. I don't know if you remember, but there was a play where Tatis had hit the ball and Cody Bellinger robbed him of that home run. And I mean, Dodger fans went crazy. And Machado is like cussing, like, y'all get off the field. And Muncy is that guy. He's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you get off the field. And even Mookie was getting, into it. And that's a part of it. But I think that because the Padres are better than what they have been for a while, they've gained a sense of confidence and they understand that they are an Achilles heel for us, whether we want to admit it or not. Yes, the Giants have always been our rivals. We all know that. But the Padres are creeping up, and a lot of people don't want to admit it. I'm not going to be afraid to admit it. And I
Mm-hmm.
also embrace it because I think that it's good for us to have this moment where a division rival is also someone where we more than likely will see in the postseason. And we don't really know what the outcome is going to be. They just picked up Luis Arias. They got
Mm.
Dylan Cease. And pretty much their entire team is made up of former shortstops. The athleticism is crazy. It's really going to be, who shows up at the right moment, who's hot at the right moment. And that's what I appreciate. I don't know if you know, but last year they were blocking us from purchasing tickets for the
Wow.
postseason. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
here.
Wow. Well, nobody fears the Rockies. So I'll pick them. Because I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Dodger Stadium is actually one of my least favorite stadiums to go to, and it's
Why?
right down the street. Okay, so just for context, y'all, for those who are listening, I live in West LA, so I'm on the water, so just to 10 down the street. But it's an old building on a hill. And so when you're a hardcore fan, is one thing, you just pull up and just like whatever. But we were taking friends and family, and if they're not used to that, that's
Okay.
a challenge. The sun can be very intense because basically on a hill, but it's like recessed. So on a hot day, it pretty much becomes like a magnifying glass. The food is kind of standard. You don't get the crazy stuff and concoctions you get in other places. The building is kind of old. It's like people love it. It says it's a cathedral, but I'm like, ah. At least in Anaheim, I can pull up and get close to the actual door.
Right.
But I know I'm in the minority when I say that. So I'm going to ask you a question, and you could totally tell me I'm off my rocker. What about the ballpark experience you love the best? What has been a good place you've been? What's been your ideal vibe?
I love going to the ballpark and just vibing with the fans. I think that is such an experience that you don't like. Of course, I watch it on TV all the time because I have access to it. But being in the presence of people who are just as excited to have that same experience than you as you, it's there's nothing like it. And I know you can get it from football, you can get it from basketball. I actually don't think that you get that same level of excitement in basketball. But I remember I was at the LSU and Texas game, and we had it packed out like it was a home game for us too. I know you saw the burnt orange, but you definitely saw the purple and gold in there. And so once we gained that lead up on Texas, you can see the Texas fans slowly starting to creep out. And then you hear the LSU chants, going on. And it's just there's nothing like it. And I will also say, like, I love the food. Like, I get excited for that. There are like Dollar Dog Tuesdays at Minute Maid Park out here. And so sometimes I go to experience that. They have really, really good nachos. Oh my gosh. So I just get excited to have both of those experiences. And I don't think enough people really embrace that part of it as well.
What I like about Houston is that there's every park has something that no one else has. There's one time in Houston it was a Monday night, so it was like Space City night, right? All the Monday night
Mm-hmm.
games. The Crawford boxes, like they're like a party out there in the
Mm-hmm.
outfield. It's almost like box
Yes.
seats, but in the outfield, and everyone's having a good time and drinking and stuff like that. And even I was like, well, I mean, yeah, it's like 1,000% humidity, but they're partying like it ain't affected them. So like, I like the
Yes.
vibes. Yeah.
Yes, and but sometimes I am happy to for Minute Maid that sometimes they close it because it can get pretty intense as far as the heat. But
Yeah.
yeah, that it's super fun, so fun.
So we mentioned before that you're also an educator. You have you have a Clark Kent side, a Diana Prince side. What is that like? Do you try to like talk about the game at work? Can you do that? Is it a balance? What's the vibe?
Yes, I mean that's a great way for me to be able to bond with my students. They're always interested in what I'm doing. I let them like get in on a little piece of me doing like a podcast from here and there if they want to watch. Even some of the parents are like, okay, I want to show support. I want to watch as well, just to see what I'm like. And I know that some people don't like that about educators. They're like, no, your job is to teach. That's it, teach and go home. But being an educator, especially in this environment today, my job is also to make positive connections with my students. And I think a big part of that is allowing them to see that I'm a human being too. And part of me being a human being is seeing some of the things that I like to do. And that includes liking and discussing baseball. So yes, of course, I talk to them about Mookie Betts. The kids talk to me about the Astros. My assistant principal texted me when we got Shohei Ohtani, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you got that, got him and with that contract. And I actually remember where I was when we picked up Shohei Ohtani. I was at a basketball game for watching my boys play at a tournament. And one of my boys is also a Dodger fan. So we're walking out and I'm like, oh my gosh, did you see it? He's like, he's been on his phone the whole time. I tell you the same thing. So I don't think people realize that, yes, this is a moment. And it's also history that's happening. I'm a history teacher. So I do want to talk about how many times they've won, why they've won, and connect. The SRO, the school resource officer, he and I were always chatting about things as well. So yeah, baseball can also be an integral part of my classroom.
Yeah, I learned about a half an hour ago that you're taught history, and so I have an extra interest in this next question. A lot of controversy in some circles, but not to me, about the integration of the Negro League records with the Major League Baseball records. Well, first thoughts when you heard that was going to happen, and secondarily, what do you see it happening for the next chapter of the Negro League story when it comes to baseball in America?
Well, I talked about this on my page, and people need to understand that Black history is American history too. And I really, really appreciate the fact that Major League Baseball decided to do the right thing and integrate these stats because it gives us a clear picture of exactly what was happening at that particular time. And so I think moving forward, now we have a standard. We've already had a standard, but now you have a new standard. And with people keeping eyes on people like Luis Arias, will he be able to meet or even come close to what Josh Gibson has done as far as batting averages? And I think it's really, really good for players to have something to be able to strive for in regards to these stats. Like you're not just going out there and playing, you are working to achieve something that was set as a standard for everyone. Now, how can you go about, accomplishing that? That is going to be, the new goal for everyone to be watching. But now looking at these stats, like I want to see, like, what is your OPS looking like this? Is this we've been talking about, and a lot of people are stat driven. So the 40 homers, the 70 stolen bases, that was a big thing for Ronnie Acuna. But now when you add these other stats to it, I think it just gives all players something more to be able to hold to themselves. So
Sure.
yeah, I love that.
Of course, the integration came with a bit of controversy for a lot of reasons,
Mhm.
whether or not it counts or it doesn't count, or whether or not it's too late, whether it's performative, that sort of thing. But I think ultimately I agree with you. I think it's going to be a rough integration period, but over time is a benefit to the game.
Well, another piece, like people have to realize we were at the reason why it existed was because we were legally segregated. So because the country was legally segregated, the court case, Plessy versus Ferguson, stated everything could be done separately as long as it was equal. So if we're saying that everything is done separately but equal, especially when integration happens after that court case is overturned in 1954, then essentially the integration is exactly what the law states.
Sure.
And I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that particular point, but that's how I view it, as a historian, that we're just correcting something that was not supposed to be that way originally.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I guess I've heard my immediate network has been more cynical, being like, oh, they're doing it now. Why not 10, 15 years ago? But I think ultimately the second best time is now, right? If not before, then you should do it now. And it's a really good thing. And Josh Gibson was definitely someone that I learned a lot from going to the Negro League Museum. No one really talks about him as much as they did Jackie
Mhm.
growing up. And so I'm glad I was able to be like, oh, I know, instead of being like, who is that? And so then hopefully a new generation of statisticians and followers get to learn those
Right.
stories as well. So,
And that's on my list. So I'm really, really excited. I have not visited it yet. And I think that I want to try to go next summer because my summers are becoming a little bit more mine now.
mhm.
So I really, really want to go on that. Like it's literally on my bucket list.
Oh, yeah. Well, the new
Top
campus is
five
being
on my
built.
bucket list.
Do you have, is like a baseball bucket list or like it's a general bucket list?
I have a general bucket list, but I honestly think that I need to make a baseball bucket list and a general bucket list because there are just things within baseball because I love it so much that I want to do like the 30 ballparks and, you know, purchase certain jerseys and meet certain people like that. That's a goal of mine. But on the other hand, like those museums are that is really, really important to me because I see the pictures, I see the videos, I follow the Negro League baseball president, and I'm just always so entranced by this being a part of my history.
Sure. Yeah, it was life changing for me. Apparently, they're building a new campus, so I can't wait till that's being built. But because I made a rookie mistake in Kansas City, is I walked there from the main road, and it's a troop. Yeah, because what it is, I was like, oh, well, it's only a mile from my hotel, but that Midwestern humidity ain't no thing, and so I showed up sweating, but being able to sit there and take the time and to read everything because I wanted to cool down, really, it really was amazing to learn so much about what was really a whole bygone era, but just right down the street historically time period speaking. It wasn't like 200 years ago that we were
Right.
segregated. It's like we have grandparents who remember having to go to different facilities to use. It's crazy.
I tell that to people all the time. That's why and this is another reason why the whole integration piece is, it doesn't, I'm proud of it. It wasn't that long ago, y'all. Like I'm talking about 1965 was like the Voting Rights Act. All right. And then I think 1959 was when the last player officially integrated in baseball. And that's like around the time my parents were born, and my parents are like really not really in their 60s yet. They're close,
Mm-hmm.
but not there. So if we're talking about 60 years ago, this is right there. It's
Yeah,
literally right there.
it's right there, and it's just it's easy to forget, especially when we were or listen to discourse where it's like it's so long ago, but it really
No.
wasn't, and it's still part of it still exists today. So, but not to bring everything down.
Well, one
uh,
thing I'll say too, and because I teach this we have to be careful with the pictures, because a lot of the pictures are intentionally given in black and white as well, and that gives you the mindset that it happened long ago, whereas when you put it in color, it
True.
gives you the mindset that no, it's really more recent than you would have imagined.
Yeah, I think that this is not even a sports thing, but as a kid, I thought Pablo Picasso lived 500 years ago because all his pictures
No.
were in black and white. And he was like around in the 60s, just chilling with cigarettes half the time of his life. Like it
Right.
was really crazy, crazy fun. Well, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show. In the booth, just hanging out, chatting with you about the game of baseball. Now, if someone wants to know more about you, your background, how they can follow you, how they can engage with you, how can they book you to have an appearance on their podcast as well, how they go about doing that?
Well, I am on social media. I am on Instagram and TikTok, same name, All About April 3. I also have a YouTube channel where I review books, and same name, All About April 3. You can also find me on Twitter where I'm giving my opinions on sports and the common things happening in life. And that would be at XOXO April 3. And for anyone who wants to reach me for, coming on podcast or discussing anything, my email is going to be tigergalteaches@gmail.com. TYGERGAL teaches at Gmail. And of course, it's always forever LSU, because that's where I went to undergrad. So I have to include that into my things. I really, really loved my school and the time that I spent there.
I got two quick questions for you before we wrap this up. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to be a rookie of the year. True or false?
False.
Ooh, and what is something on your summer reading list you think I'll enjoy? Because I gotta read more books. Your boy's been slacking.
I am currently reading, it's actually right here, Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington for the very first time.
Whoa,
I
yeah.
I know, and that is like my
Congratulations.
studies right there. So I would say that if you haven't read it, especially with things coming about with the integration of the Negro League, I think some of the things that he's discussing in here is very relevant still to the present time period. And I am also going to be reading the Tulsa Race Riots massacre. So I had to recently repurchased it. But my other question to you is, are you a fan of fiction, nonfiction? I think that matters too.
Well, I try to read as much as I can, but I think for mostly for pleasure, I am nonfiction is what I usually read, but I specifically love like corporate like drama, like trying to save a company from going under, or like mergers and acquisitions, or like things like that. But I can read pretty much anything. Although I was expecting like a summer thriller, but Booker T. Washington's pretty heavy. I was like, dang, all right, maybe I am slacking.
So
So give me
another
some.
one. So, on TikTok, the girlies have been talking about an author named Frida McFadden, and she gives like quite a few thriller recommendations. She just had another book come out, but I would also recommend something by S.A. Cosby. A lot of people have been going on and on about Razor Blade Tears. So if you're looking for something, that would be one that I would highly, highly recommend. I haven't seen one person give less than 4 stars about that book.
Oh wow. Well,
Yes.
then I'll definitely add that. I'm gonna play this back and check it out. Add to my Amazon queue because I said I have to get back into the habit of that. In the booth, the LA Dodgers are gonna be doing some things all season. I'm not sure I'm gonna enjoy this one. No, I'm just kidding. They're a fantastic franchise. I just hate the actual park, but the team is great. The players are great, and they really really do give back to the community, which is all I asked for when a
Yeah.
team is a part of that fabric. So I want to have you on future episodes. I know you're going to be around the prediction show and playoff show, so it's been a lot of fun just to interact with you once more.
Yes, y'all. Feel free to reach out to me. I always respond. But this was super fun. I'm so happy that we got to chat it up about my favorite thing. I love it so much.